Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Hi, everybody. This is Connie Burton, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Rocks, and God be with you.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father. As always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a very huge privilege to have Connie Burton. Yes, Connie Burton, the older sister of Metallica's late bassist, the Mighty Cliff Burton. Connie produced and narrated the documentary titled The Salvation Kingdom on the life of her late brother Cliff. And it's hard to put into words for me right now because it just doesn't seem real. The documentary title is taken from a line in the Metallica track "To Live Is to Die," which was written as a tribute to Cliff. That track, actually, guys, is featured on the Injustice for All album from 1988, 2 years after Cliff's passing. Cliff was a natural virtuoso who meddled in thrash with classical, blues, and jazz. Cliff could make a bass guitar sound like a lead guitar, and he would make it talk to you. And he could headbang with the best of them. And I'm telling you right now, I tell you right now, I'd put my money on Cliff. I can only speculate on how the bass would have evolved had the revolutionary metal master, Clifford Lee Burton, had not been removed from this earth so young and so tragically on September 27th of 1986 at the age of 24 in a bus accident in Kronoberg County, a rural area of southern Sweden, as Metallica toured in support of their Master of Puppets album, which that album saved my life, as I was telling Connie. So if you want to check out Cliff's music, you're going to want to check out Kill 'Em All. You want to check out Masters of Puppets, Ride the Lightning. Plus, they have a DVD Metallica does called Cliff 'Em All, which is awesome, which is a celebration of Cliff's life and the tour and everything that they did with Cliff. So we have Miss Connie Burton on the show. So without further ado, Connie, how are you doing? And thank you so much for doing this with me.
Oh, praise God, and thank you for having me, John. And hello to everybody out there in the world.
I hope that was a very fitting intro for Cliff and you.
It was very fitting. I was smiling the whole time. You didn't miss a beat.
When did you decide that you wanted to do the documentary titled The Salvation Kingdom on the life of your brother? Who got the ball rolling?
When did I decide?
Yeah.
That's a great question, because it was ultimately my decision whether I did this movie or not. It was presented to me. I have to tell you all, I'm a Christian. I'm of a non-denominational, not conventional religion, but I'm a Jesus freak all the way. And this whole thing was a God thing. It was put together. It was done by people who volunteered. The idea was presented to me over Messenger on Facebook by a man I had never met before and who didn't know. Simon J. Woodstock is his name. And he asked me if I wanted to do this tribute to my brother, this movie. And he was going to the Calvary Chapel Bible College in Murrieta, California, in the United States. And God put together the team, put together the idea through him to do the movie. He asked me to do it. I prayed about it. I got to go. Go ahead and trust this man. This is divine assignment. And so I went with it all. And there went the movie. We have 101,000 views now on YouTube.
Good God. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome.
That
so that was a whole God thing, and I was able to finally, after many, many years of silence, play a part in my brother's death, so to speak. I hadn't done that till recently, in the last few years. I wasn't ready yet.
Understandable.
I just wasn't ready yet.
Understandable.
But this was a way for me to do that and to bring God forth, which I put God first in everything. And so it all worked out wonderful in that respect. And people seem to have a good response to it, which is awesome. I've had some naysayers, and one of them on YouTube said, "Burn the witch."
Oh, wow. You got to be kidding me.
No, really.
Jeez.
There's some haters out there,
You know,
especially if you mention God.
People, you're going to have people that's going to like it. You're going to have people that ain't going to like it. And, you know, if you're happy with it and you're at peace with it, more power to you, Connie, because...
I totally am. I think it turned out wonderfully. And I will say thank you to Kirk Hammett and to James Hatfield, who posted on Facebook a clip that you can find if you Google it. If you Google my name in the different videos. And they put together a clip from the movie. And it is absolutely fantastic. It has all the parts of me preaching about God. And the parts about Cliff watching Billy Graham, right?
Oh, wow.
And they did a marvelous job of editing. Just absolutely marvelous. I couldn't have done a better job myself, and I want to thank them for that.
When I saw Kirk Hammett talking in a documentary about Cliff, and you know, Cliff's been gone for a long time, but I mean, this is like a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken, when this documentary came out, when he was talking about Cliff, he was in tears. I mean, Kirk was crying. I mean, he was in tears because he said, thank God that Cliff Burton was in his life and showed him how to become a better person and a humble person and to always be not above and beyond anybody else. And I was like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap.
My brother had a very powerful impact
Yes.
on the people that he met in life, no matter where he went. Just the type of person he was. You know, that kind of person that can walk in a room and they don't have to say a word, and you know their presence is there? That's how he was. You know, just his natural self. You could just feel him walk in the room. It was amazing. He was a tribute to the human race, I'll tell you that much, with all his flaws and all of our sinful nature, you know. But it was definitely, and he was a virtuoso. I love you saying that and bringing that up because I feel it's so important. He was. I'd like to share something with all the musicians that are out there that are wanting and yearning and desiring to be the best musician they can be. And that's what Cliff's whole spirit was motivated by, his will to be the best musician he could be as a human being. That's what motivated him after my brother's death, Scott. And he wanted to do that for his brother. And he did. You know, the Lord allowed him to accomplish that in this lifetime and to give us such gifts, from what kind of person you can be in life, how you love, you know, to the beautiful, just amazing, inspirational, first time ever music, and a total opening for the heavy metal genre.
Oh, most definitely. Cliff was way ahead of his time. I mean, you might as well say he was from the future. I mean, the way that he, and I'm not knocking anybody that's out there, everybody has their own style, but you knew when you heard Cliff playing bass, you knew it was him. It's like, wow, you know. For me to sit here and watch Anastasia pulling teeth when he does that bass solo, or like I said earlier, how Orion, you know, was the savior of my life, you know what I'm saying? When you hear that, it's like, my God, dude, where have you been? You know, it's like, did you come from the future to do this? Because he was ahead of his time, Connie, for sure.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if he came from the future, the past, but he was in the present, and he was doing headbanging since he was born, all right? Since he was like 3 months old, and he could move his head, right? But you can't headbang when you're a baby, going back and forth like that. So he went back and forth, side to side, and he would rock side to side, back and forth, right? And he did it till he was about 3 years old. And my mom and I used to try to guess what he was going to be when he was older, right? And one time I said, maybe he's going to be a parachuter because they swing side to side when they're coming down, right? My mom's like, maybe a swimmer because they have to turn their head side to side, right? And Cliff never learned how to swim. That was the ironic thing about my mom's one, right? He didn't know how to swim when he died. But he was doing that since he was a baby.
The other thing about Cliff that I dug, because I'm a huge fisherman too, is like he loved to fish. He could have been a professional fisherman, who all knows, you know? He could have done that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And he could, something personal with Cliff, he used to make his own staffs, spears, for fishing. And he'd wait until the evening on the pier, patiently, for these big old bass, right, to come up to the pier. And he'd do it the old style, right? And he'd stab them, spear them. And he'd come out with the biggest fish. You wouldn't believe it. It was great.
Cliff, take fish. Take home now. Was it crucial for you to make this documentary about Cliff to let everybody in a little bit to see his life growing up?
Yes. It was absolutely. It's time now. And there's a lot more. That documentary in particular, is just the beginning of what I have to share with the world about my brother, about Cliff, and his life. And yes, it's definitely just the beginning, definitely.
Are we going to see some more documentaries down the road, or what do you want to do with this, Connie, if anything
I
possible?
don't know. At this point in time, I've got so many things coming at me in so many different directions that what I'm going to do next is up to God. He'll lead me. And right now, there's paperwork to be done and stuff. Business to attend to, I guess. Whether I like it or not. You know?
Sure.
It's life. I don't have any future plans at this moment. I'm writing a book. It's coming along surely, but slowly. And I found it very difficult, more difficult than I thought it was going to be, emotionally, and to write the book. And so I'm getting past some things with that and just taking my time and hoping that I don't die before I get to publish the book.
No, don't say that. Don't say that.
Well, I'm 62, so 62 and renewed, but you never know when you're going to go.
That's true. That's why I tell everybody, if you got a chance to go see a concert, go see it, because you never know what the next 10, 15 minutes holds for all of us. That is for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
How did Cliff discover and get into music?
Well, we grew up with music. My dad is into jazz and classical and country western, but back in the day it was all like Duke Ellington and all sorts of different genres of music. But and my mom always was country western mostly, and she listened to the rock with us and give her opinion. She loved it. Mom bought us a piano at one point, and we both loved that. And Scott wasn't real interested in it. He was a motorcycle guy and into motocross and speed racing. And we got the piano, and we both loved it. And then my mom decided she wanted to sell it, so that went out the window. And we were both very upset with it. But it was for Cliff, when my brother Scott died, that he made the decision that he wanted to be the best musician he could be as a human being for his brother Scott. And that's what started. And it started right then, and he was 13 years old. And
here's something else cool, folks, that me and Connie were talking about. Cliff played guitar, plus he played bass. But he wanted to take the bass a little bit extra, and it just wouldn't give him that oomph like an electric guitar did. So tell us about that switch over to the bass, Connie, if you don't care.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind at all. Cliff was having problems with being able to play what he wanted to play and getting the sound that he wanted out of that. And so I said to him, you need to find a way to put the bass and the lead together, to combine them. And he came up with the idea to put his lead pickup from his lead guitar into his bass, make them one. He was going to marry him. And so he brought it down to Rick's All Music in San Leandro and asked Rick about it. And Rick said, Cliff, I don't know if it'll work. No one's ever asked me to do anything like this before in my life. Mm-hmm. Right? But we'll do it and find out. And so they did, and it worked. And Cliff was off and running then. He built his own head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He ran into trouble after that, and I remember that time well. And he was like, Connie, I'm not getting the sound out of this. I'm not getting the sound out of this, right? And I said, go to the junior college and take electronics and build your own. And he was like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then he comes home like 2 months later, he says, they want me to take PE, and history and English, right? And all these prerequisites to get to electronics, advanced electronics, right? And I don't want to do that. I said, well, look, just quit the classes, go to the library, buy the electronics books, the advanced electronics books, read them yourself, and build your own. It was like, yeah, So he did, and he built his own, and there he went. And then Metallica went.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that was a force, just like you open up a pot, man, it's gone.
Well, I was there in the early days.
Yeah, you got to see all the good stuff, man.
Yeah, I was there at their first gig in San Francisco.
Yeah, and then their second one was with Saxon. Mm-hmm. The very second show that they did was with Saxon, as far as like national-wise. And that's...
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Those were the days, too.
That's exactly right. That's when music was good.
I'll tell you a story real quick. The first time that Cliff ever did his solo, bass solo, take one. Yeah. Well, we were at the Stone in San Francisco on Broadway. And that place, it was amazing. There was complete silence. I mean, nobody was headbanging, okay? Nobody was dancing around right? It was just like complete, total silence and awe of what was going on, and there were some people screaming, yeah, right? But for the most part, it was just like, and I'm standing there, and I'm like, I've never heard anything like this in my life, right? I mean, although I'd grown up with Cliff playing all my life, right? But when you put it together up on stage like that, right, it was a whole different thing. And it was amazing. It was amazing to experience the introduction, a new era.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, when Cliff took the stage, and, I mean, I know he's with Metallica, I know all that stuff, but, I mean, when he took the stage and he started playing, he demanded your attention. He wanted that, not to say he was a glory hound or anything like that. I'm saying he was a true musician at what he did. He took pride in what he did, and you could tell. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I wish I was a fly on the wall to be in that room to see that, because I'm sure these folks are just like, oh, wow, what is this? Uh-huh. They probably never seen anything like that before. I mean, I'm sure they did, but nothing to that extreme, in my opinion.
No, we'd never seen anything like that to that extreme. No, never. It was the first time. It was his first time out, and it was just like, and my mom and dad were there, and my mom's just looking at me like, whoa, you know what I mean? Something's going on here.
That's awesome.
Right? It was great, though. It was great.
When did you maybe see the change in Cliff's music taste for something more heavier, or was it just for the love of music in general that he wanted to go down that path?
He was on that path from the beginning, to go as deep, to be the best musician he could be as a human being. I mean, that was his motive for his brother. And so I saw it from the beginning. It's a drive, a commitment that he had that I haven't seen in other places on the planet at 62 years old very much. And that is, Cliff had a drive, a passion, and I want to put this word in capital letters, a dedication towards being the best musician he could be, towards music. Mm-hmm. And that was his driving force all through the years, since he started. And I can't employ that much. He had a dedication that was unusual. I mean, he put music first. If he wanted to talk to Cliff, if I wanted to talk to my brother, I had to go in the bedroom and sit down on the bed, right? Well, he played. Okay? He wasn't going to stop for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If he was practicing, he was practicing. So that's the way it went, you know? And if he was blow-drying his hair, which he would do, and headbang, right? Okay, he wasn't going to stop that for you either. You either just kept talking to him or forget about it.
Oh, wow.
You know, and he'd engage in conversation, but he wouldn't stop. He just wouldn't stop. And I put that out there to people in the world, too, that no matter what you're doing, you know, if your conviction is there and your spirit's there and it's righteous and you know it's something that you want to do, never give up. Keep on, keeping on, no matter what comes against you. You know, and that's how Cliff was, no matter what the trials were, you know. And they got all their equipment stolen and everything else. He just kept on, no matter what obstacle proposed itself. He just kept going forward, and he succeeded, you know. He succeeded.
When he joined Metallica and they created their albums Ride the Lightning, Masters of Puppets, and Kill 'Em All, and they started adding instrumentals and influences from Cliff, do you think at that time this was a huge game changer in music?
Yes. And if Cliff would have lived, it would have been a huger game changer because of his influence, you know. But yes, I do definitely feel that that was the game changer. It opened the doors to other musicians in the world, you know, and the creativity that would come through to create things that are created today, you know. I have another virtuoso on us right now, but perhaps that's to come. Never give up, anybody out there, any of you musicians.
Never, ever be scared to go outside your box, because the ones that tell you don't are the ones that don't want you to succeed, in my opinion.
A lot of times, yes. Yes, a lot of times you're absolutely right. There's a lot of that underlying, and that's what I was talking about motives before, you know? What are your motives? If your motives are just to go out there and get famous, you may make it, but will you last? You know what I mean?
Right.
And where are you going with all that anyway?
It's very true.
You know? You can have the whole world as your oyster, but be very unhappy on the inside. And so you want to watch yourselves in that, and I think music carries that so prevalently. I know everybody else out there does too.
The track "To Live Is to Die" off the Injustice for All album from 1988. There's a line in that says "The Salvation Kingdom," which is the title of this documentary. What was it about that line that said, you know, that's it? That's what we need to call this documentary?
Well, I didn't name the documentary, and actually it goes, Cliff's words were, "Cannot the kingdom of salvation take me home?" I didn't, but Simon and his crew did, switched it around and made it Salvation Kingdom instead of Kingdom of Salvation. And that was to avoid any legal repercussions there in using my brother's name, which I'm in that position right now, fortunately. So the name came through Simon, as the idea did, and we have him to thank for that. And praise God.
Was it hard to choose between what you wanted to put in the documentary possibly? How did it go about you guys working on getting folks to do interviews and talk about Cliff on how they affected their, you know, becoming a musician, things like that?
Well, I don't know how any of that went, to tell you the truth, John.
Okay.
Everybody, I don't know how it went because I wasn't there. What I was asked to do was to be the storyteller of the documentary and to give my blessings and to join in and do it. And the rest was all done around me without even me knowing. I trusted this man implicitly. And that doesn't mean I'm easy, everybody.
Yeah.
But God told me, just trust him. And I did. And it turned out to be the Salvation Kingdom. Hallelujah, huh?
Is there anything specifically for you, Connie, standing out more to you on this documentary when you watch it and things? What sticks out the most for you in general?
Oh, wow. John, that's a good question.
Ha! Pting.
Never even thought of that before. It's a toss-up here. Okay, it's a toss-up between the parts where I let be known that the evangelist Billy Graham had much to do with in influencing in Cliff's writing. And if you read the lyrics to Creeping Death, right, it's all about the Exodus, Moses coming out of Egypt with the slaves, all right? And I think it's a toss-up between that and the end of the movie where I say that every question that you have in life, all the answers are in the Holy Bible. Every single question that I've had so far, except for the ones that we don't get to know until we die, which the Bible says we will get to know. Every question we ever have will be answered when we die, right? I got a long list going.
Yeah.
I do. I have to admit it.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at
I got
all.
some questions going. But that's the other part where I say that, and I was really feeling God's presence there, you know, and that's important to me to feel the Spirit. It's a spirit of oneness on the planet right now, which we need so badly in so many places. And I'm really strong, you know, I have a passion about that. The darkness is invading. Let's shine the light. You know, like Carlos Santana, put your lights on.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%, because if you just say hello to somebody or smile and thank them, you don't know how much an impact that can change someone's life that they're going through that day.
Yep.
It's so
Even
crazy.
people sometimes that I say, I'll say, God bless you, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I get a dirty look, but very seldom.
That's crazy.
You know, oh yeah, there's definitely haters out there, you know, but, you know, that's the way of the world. But most of the time I get like, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, wow. She said, God bless you.
I just want to mention this right fast, because I get, and it's crazy, and I don't care to admit it, but when I see your dad talking about Cliff and how happy he gets and he smiles from ear to ear like a kid in a candy store,
Yep.
I tear up. because he's so proud, he's so humble. He's like, my child was just as anybody else's. You know what I'm saying? He's like, he's no different. He's still Cliff. But it's just so cool that he is just on cloud 9 about it still.
And what is my response to that? I say hallelujah to my dad. And, you know, I'm grateful that he can find some joy in life, in the death of his son, you know, and he lost both his sons, and I'm the only one left, and unfortunately I'm the black sheep of the family, so, you know, okay, I don't have to say any more about that. Everybody knows what that's going, you know, right?
Yeah. I know how that goes.
But that's okay.
What do you hope, Connie, everyone takes away from this documentary when they sit down and watch this? What do you hope that they get from this? Point blank,
to be saved by Jesus Christ, to come to the place of enlightenment, of truth, that Cliff Burton was an example. He was an example of being an instrument of God to me. This is just my opinion, right? And as the kind of person that he was, and as his example, I would hope that people would take the example of Christ away. What would Jesus do? And apply that into the world today to fight the forces of darkness that prevail in the heavy metal world and all throughout the world. And be freed in their spirit and find that peace and that joy that's there for all of us to have. That's what I would hope.
You know, Connie, it's 2019, and we got people still talking about Cliff's amazing bass solos and songs with Metallica from the earlier albums. What does this mean to you, and what does this say about his, you know, just his music as a musician still having an impact today on people?
Oh, wow. You know, I used to have a sign up in my bedroom when I was a teenager. I was 17 or so, right, for a couple of years. It said, love endures. And I think that my brother, I know he was such an example of love for not only human beings, but for so many things in areas of life. that it's not to be ignored, that we would learn by our history. And Cliff gave us a piece of history to continue to inspire us and to support us and to edify us and lift us up in this dark world that we live in, with its trials and its joys and its tears and its gratefulness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I can say about that.
And I'm sure you get stopped when you're out grocery shopping or somewhere, and they say, "Hey, that's Cliff's sister," and they tell you how much, that he means to them today. And I'm sure that takes you back as well.
Yes, every day takes me back. But I do the Facebook, and I love being able to. I feel like it's an age a time where, with the Salvation Kingdom movie documentary, that it's another place and space and time to open up the goodness that Cliff brought to this planet, to another generation here, and I feel very grateful to be able to be a part of that in this world.
Connie, for you, is there a show or a moment that sticks out for you over the years about Cliff's musicianship and playing in Metallica? Do you have a special moment, possibly, other than being the big sister and family-wise?
Yeah, two of them.
Okay, go ahead.
One, we were down the green, and Cliff was just walking off stage, and I'm standing there. Now, I was a loose cannon back then. I was total addict. I've been in recovery for 17 years now, but I'm clean and sober, right? Back then, I wasn't, all right, everybody? I was like, party on, and let's go. Right? I'll even lead the way. Let's let Connie try it. Okay, it was really, really bad, and I was really, really bad, and I was very unpredictable. And I asked Cliff, it was the whole stadium. They just walked off the stage. The whole stadium's going crazy, right? You got this whole stadium of people. And I said, Cliff, let me walk out in the middle of the stage. I just want to feel the energy, man, okay? I just want to feel the energy. I just stand there. I swear I won't say anything. I won't do anything. I promise, right? Please let me go out there. At first he shook his head no, right? He was shaking his head no, like, oh, no, I can't believe she's asking me this, right? My big sister, Miss Reliable, right? How loaded is she today? Anyway, he said, okay. And I went out on the stage. And the feeling was so amazing to have so many people and their minds focused on one thing, which was Metallica, right? And they were all yelling for the encore. And the spirit was so huge and powerful. It was just absolutely fantastically amazing. I never experienced anything like it, like that, ever. And then the other time was when he was doing his bass solo when they opened for Ozzy at the Cow Palace. And I was watching him. I was watching my brother during the solo that he was doing. And I finally saw my brother as the young man in his fullness of who he was at that time, in a whole different way than I ever had the advantage to, the opportunity to, And it was a moment for me. I really got the fullness of my brother and all of his glory,
Yeah.
At that one particular moment. Those are the two I can think of right off the top.
You got to see them practice. You got to see the beginnings of Metallica. Did you know this is something special that was happening at that time?
Well, yeah. I knew that when they did their first gig there at the Stone, okay, and Cliff did his bass solo, and then we started the mosh pit up, and I didn't get to be in the movie for Metallica the old days. They didn't ask me. But we started the mosh pit back in those days even. And I can remember the pivoting moment being when they played the Stone. And nobody had ever heard music like that. And it was metal to the core at that point in time. And it distinctly wasn't punk.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, most definitely not, yeah.
And there wasn't all these other genres that you have: death metal, thrash metal, doom metal, black metal, whatever metal, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't that, you know. So you could hear something new coming about, you know, and something new, something different. Definitely, it was noticeable. Ozzy asked him to go on tour with him. And, you know, I remember the days when I would go and try to get the guys at the radio station to play their CDs, play their music, and they shot me down, all the great radio stations there in the Bay Area. I won't name any by name, but all the way from San Jose to down the coast there, right?
It's crazy now.
I was
looking
all
back.
over the place.
Yeah.
Here, play this. You want to play this, right? And they're like, no, my manager won't let me.
And now they can't get their hands off of playing Metallica. You know what I'm saying? It's like...
Yeah.
It's like,
And and that goes, you know, for people out there who are really serious about life in general. You know, no matter what it throws at you, it can throw you down and say, no, this door is closed. And that doesn't mean that the door won't open back up. So don't give up.
now, your book, I want to talk about that a little bit. I know you said it's taken time to get this out, but are we kind of close to even remotely having a date maybe, or this just in the beginnings?
It's just in the beginnings.
Okay.
I found out that there's so much to write. There's so many stories to tell about Cliff, and I want to tell them all, you know. And then I've run into my problem of procrastination, which I suffer from at the moment. Just at the moment, things can change at any moment. I've learned that. I believe in miracles. I am a miracle. I certainly am a miracle. Died in this lifetime, and God breathed life back into me. And I was dying, and Jesus healed my body. That's another story. But I don't have any firm plans. I'm letting it go and just kind of going with the flow of it. I've run into now that I'm really, I've always been into writing lyrics, and the lyrics seem to be coming through, and so I've been kind of concentrating on that instead of the book.
It's good to get away and you know, let your mind recharge.
Well, it's good to take a break, too.
Yeah.
Because it is very, very emotional for me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, for sure.
And it, you know, you have to learn how to pace yourself, I guess. And I'm learning the beginning phases of, like, self-discipline of writing about such a personal, spirit, you know, part of me and my life. And my brother. And, you know, it's all these years later, but something about death, even if it's right on time, which it always is, there's a looming of it that kind of lingers and doesn't go away. It has its own life to it. That's what I've found, anyway, in trying to write this book. And so I'm working with that, too, you know, but it's coming along.
I think you found the name of the title of the book just a little bit ago. Tell 'em all. That would be awesome.
That's a good idea. Take that into consideration. I'm putting that in the big book of ideas.
Do you have like any? I know this is going to be sound like a crazy question, but this always fascinates me and interests me. But do you have any, like, the old lyrics that Cliff had written for Metallica, or any of his old, like, basses and things like that? Do you have any of that stuff, possibly?
Yeah. I do have his bass. Came back with his body, with the handcuffs still on the handle. He had handcuffs on the handle of his bass.
I'd say you had to keep people out of it.
Keep it from getting stolen.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But that didn't give him. It was just Cliff's little symbolic gesture to anybody who thought about it, right? It comes with handcuffs, man. But and I have his guitar, his aria bass, his aria guitar. It's his original bass that he started out with, black bass. It has it's cracked in the back, and it's been soldered back together because he liked it so much that when it broke from him if any of you out there are familiar with Cliff and his playing, if you watch any videos or what have you, you notice he used to pound on his bass quite often.
Yeah, for sure.
And from that pounding, it got cracked in the back. So once again, he showed up at Rick's All Music and said, Rick, you thinking it works if you soldered this thing back together?
I just see Rick. He's like, what did you do now, man? What are you doing?
I don't know, but we'll try and see.
That's awesome.
And that worked for him. And then I have the first guitar that was ever brought into the Burton family, and that's a Sears Roebuck. If any of you are old enough to remember Sears and Roebuck, right?
I do, yeah. My mom and my grandma had them. Oh, my God, yes. Yeah.
Well, that's what it is.
Hey,
in all its glory.
It's like I said, you get your start from somewhere. Why not Sears and Roebuck, you know? If that's the way,
yeah.
If that's the way to
and
get
then
your
I
first
got my
bass.
guitar, which is a classical guitar that Cliff gave me. And he was giving me lessons when he died.
Oh, wow.
And, we had a very special connection musically. And I won't go into real detail with it, but he could play on his bass what was in my head, okay, the music that was in my head. And I didn't play an instrument, so I couldn't get it out of my head, except for Cliff. And then he got to the point with Metallica that he didn't have the time anymore, and he was giving me lessons. He wasn't giving me lessons yet, but he didn't have the time to do the way we did it, transfer over to him the music, right? Mm-hmm. And so he said, you're going to have to learn how to play the guitar, Connie. I don't have time to do this anymore. I'm like, oh, great, you know. And and so he says, well, here, I'll teach you how to play guitar. And he was teaching me how to play guitar when he died. I mean, he was away then, but we were, halfway through my first book, okay, my second book, whatever. And I still have that, too, where he wrote excellent on the top, A+, right?
That's nice. That's awesome.
I was cruising. And, I was getting taught by the best, wasn't I?
That's for sure. That is for sure.
Anyway, so when he died, I put the guitar down, and I put all musical instruments down and never picked them up again except for to jam when it was just us at a private party, you know what I mean? Jamming, and I'd pick up the rattle or, tambourine or something,
Hey, can't beat a good tambourine.
And just fiddle around,
Yeah.
But nothing professional or, worth mentioning. I just put it down. And then I will share this with you. I've never shared this before, but I think it would be all right.
Sure.
No, I'm talking on my end.
Oh, my bad. I was in your head, Connie. I was there with you.
In 1998, I had the opportunity to play guitar again, and I was at a rehab, and Ozzy Osbourne happened to be there at the same rehab.
Holy crap.
And we spent 3 months there. And he kept walking around saying, Connie, you need to play guitar. Connie, you need to play guitar. Connie, you need to play guitar. Now, I never told him that Cliff was giving me lessons or anything. So as far as I knew, he didn't have a clue of this. And he kept walking around. And finally I said to him, look, Ozzy, what do you not understand about my teacher died? Okay? What are you not getting here? And he looked at me and he says, I'll pay, you play.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And he walks away.
Yeah. Jeez.
I just sat there going, oh, okay. In the state I was in at rehab, I mean, there was no way Connie was going to pick up a guitar back then and start playing. It just wasn't going to happen. But I may take him up on his offer soon here. I've been thinking about it lately.
I love listening to Ozzy talk. Click, and he just walks around. All you hear is cling, 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 cling.
Well, I don't know what's in store, but I know that I have lyrics coming, and so maybe behind the scenes I'd have music too,
Good.
I'm not going to be out there on stage, that's for sure, at 62, you know what I mean?
Hey, if Cliff
but,
can do it...
I don't want to either.
If
It's
Cliff
a hard
can
job.
do it, you can do it. So if Cliff can do it, you can do it. You got it in you. You got it in you.
I think it's in the Burton blood there.
I think so.
I think so.
Folks, please do me a huge favor. If you are any type of fan of music or anything like that, and you want to dive into some really, really good music, get out there and check out everything all Cliff Burton wise. And hey, don't ever be scared to go outside that box and push yourself. And please get out and check out the documentary that Connie has produced and
Simon J. Woodstock.
Yeah, Simon J. Woodstock have put together. Connie narrated this documentary, and the title of it is The Salvation Kingdom. You want to check this out. And Cliff Burton, man, God rest your soul. You have made a huge impact on so many people that you have no clue on. Just what you have done for everybody. So God rest your soul, my good friend. Well, not good friend, but friend of music.
God.
Friend of music.
Yeah. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate it. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to share with you and everyone out there. It's been my pleasure, and I just wish you all, everyone in the world, everyone who listens to this, blessed be to you, and follow your heart in life.
Before I let you go, would you care to do a promo for my show, Connie?
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Connie Burton, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Rocks, and God be with you.
Everybody, please stick around. Get out and check out our Facebook page. It has our podcast link, YouTube link soon, our Twitch link. Also, get out and check out our YouTube link. Please subscribe and like the YouTube link because everything is going to be put up on YouTube for BODS Mayhem Hour. Also, get out and check out this documentary, The Salvation Kingdom, that is produced and narrated by Connie Burton. Please, please, folks, get out and check this out. You will not be disappointed if you're a true Metallica fan and you love Cliff's music and what he's brought to the table for music, which in my opinion, game changer, way ahead of his time.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you, Connie, so much for this interview. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm very grateful. It's been an honor.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.